Howdy folks, I'm carrying northern collared lemming, confusingly consoling crying cicadas.
I'm Amber.
And here are more cicadas for us to comfort, which is very confusing seeing as how we're in snow and ice and I have no idea why there are cicadas around. Very confusing.
That's probably why they're crying.
That might be why they're crying. Or they just cry because cicadas, that's pretty much all they do, are noisy and loud. Oh, and folks, we're having a live stream on Friday. For more information, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Be a Prisoner to Motherhood After My Divorce? I am a 32-year-old female and I recently separated from my ex-husband, a 33-year-old male, after years of feeling like I was disappearing. I was a wife, I was a mom, but me, I didn't exist anymore. My entire life revolved around my marriage and our 3 kids, 13, 5, and almost 2. I love my children more than anything, and I have them a majority of the time. When they're with me, I give them everything. Homework, bedtime stories, family outings. And for the first time in years, I actually feel present instead of trapped in a dark hole of exhaustion and self-hate. But on the rare days or weeks that they're with their dad, I finally have a moment to breathe. I have been using that time to do things that I never got to do when I was married. Hiking in the mountains, camping under the stars, going to concerts, making friends, playing my games, and watching my movies. Figuring out who I am outside of just mom. And now my ex is losing his mind over it. He says that I'm abandoning our kids and being selfish. He is running around telling mutual friends and family that I care more about having an adventure than being a mother. Apparently, because I go to overnight camping trips, I'm irresponsible. What does he expect me to do? Sit around in an empty house staring at the walls, waiting for my kids to come back? For some context, during our marriage, he had plenty of hobbies. Late night gaming, concerts, late nights out with friends, and even planned a Vegas trip with his co-workers. He never once questioned whether he was abandoning his family. But now that I'm doing something for myself, I'm suddenly the villain? I feel like I'm being a good mom by taking care of my mental health and showing my kids that life doesn't end when things get hard. But his words are starting to get to me. So am I the jerk for finally choosing myself for once? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. OP, I applaud you. You deserve this. And I really hate the hypocrisy of how, when you have a father who has a social life, it's not seen as a sign of bad parenting. But a mother doesn't spend every waking moment, like OP literally has days where she's not going to see the children. Like she said, what is she supposed to do? Just sit there pining, waiting for them to return? That's not healthy.
It is. I mean, that's how all mothers should approach their children
No.
situation. And I mean, like, when you finally have an empty nest, all you can do is just stare into the void.
Yeah, no. And I think I really like what OP says here. I think it's so important to remember that, yes, as a parent, parenting is, a very important, it's your primary responsibility in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But you have to take care of you as well. And you can be a better and more present parent when you're getting downtime. And even when you were married, like you should have been able to get that downtime. It's really unfortunate that you couldn't. But you deserved it. And so now OP is just getting the time that she should have been getting and to begin with.
Or not even that.
Right.
Because it's not even 50-50 custody. It's not like she gets to spend a week away or 2 weeks away from her kids at a time here. She gets a weekend like away from her kids, and he gets to spend all the time not being a parent. And I mean, I think that he is just trying to make OP feel bad. This is clearly a guilt type of manipulative thing where he wants OP to feel guilty about either leaving him or, having free time or anything like that. He wants OP not to enjoy her free time away. He wants her to feel bad about being away from her kids. And that's really what this boils down to. This is just a mind game on his part. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Koi Gobbler says, why does he even know what you do when the kids aren't there? It's none of his business. And OP replies, his sister and daughter stalks my Instagram, and I can't figure out which follower it is. I blocked their main accounts though. And Sweet Interview 5620 says, why don't you just close that account and make a new one? Just make sure to put the settings to private. That way you can send friend requests only to the ones that you know and trust. If anyone sends you one and you're unsure and not 100% certain who it is, deny it. Why do you need to post these things anyways when they're causing you that much trouble? If you really want to, then make a new account that's set to private that only people who you've friended and accepted can see. That only friends of friends can send a request, and you can simply refuse to accept anyone that isn't in your close friend group.
Yeah, I have a major issue with this comment.
We'll read OP's
Yeah.
reply real quick. And OP replies, it's private, and I've had it since Instagram went more or less live. I have friends from elementary, middle, and high school on there. Family from Scotland, old gamer friends that I've had before my ex made me stop talking to everyone. My family from Scotland, who I post for mostly though. All right, well, what do you think of that?
I think that the commenter has a very bad take. Like, is putting all of this responsibility on OP to like close down. Why be public? OP should be able to live her life loudly and proudly. And if her ex's sister and or niece or whatever are being kind of stalking her account, that's not cool. But as long as they're not putting anyone in harm's way, if they're just feeding him information, he's just being salty, But I don't like this idea, this kind of victim blaming, like, why are you doing this? You should just be quiet. It's causing you too much trouble. The person causing trouble here is the spy. And it is not OP's responsibility to close down her life so that the spy won't have anything to do.
Yeah, and why should OP sacrifice what they post on Instagram to appease these other people, right? And in that respect, he wins on some level, right? Like, he gets to silence her from showing that she's out there living a life that's, free of him, and that isn't solely revolving around the children.
Right. Well, I think that's a really good point, is that it does show that she can not only survive but thrive without him.
And MP Girl 2006 says, what does he do when you have the kids? Lives the life of a hermit monk? And OP replies, he still goes out and does everything he did when we were together. Even when he has the kids, his mom watches them so he can continue to do things that he was already doing.
Yeah, don't let this man guilt trip you, OP. Like, the hypocrisy here is unreal.
Yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, am I a jerk for blowing up at my father after he tried to set me up with his boss's son? So I'm a 27-year-old female, and I've been dating my boyfriend, Jake, a 29-year-old male, for almost a year now. And honestly, I've never been happier in a relationship. He's smart, kind, and works his butt off running his own business. And we just get each other. My dad, though, he's never liked him. At first, I just thought that he was a normal, overprotective dad, but over time, it's become clear that it was something deeper. He thinks that Jake isn't established enough, whatever that means. He's made comments about how Jake doesn't come from the right crowd and how he's not someone who can secure my future. Mind you, I have a great job, I make my own money, and I don't need a man to secure anything for me. Well, anyways, my dad invited me over for dinner last weekend, and I thought maybe he was finally coming around. But nope, I barely sat down before he starts in on how I could do better and how he just wants what's best for me. Then he drops the real reason he asked me over and wants me to meet his boss's son, Andrew, a 30-year-old male. Apparently, they've been talking about how Andrew is looking for a wife, and my dad, being the absolute mastermind that he is, decided that I should be the perfect candidate. I literally laughed because I thought that he was joking. He wasn't. He starts going on about how Andrew comes from old money and how he's on track to take over the family business, and that I would have a better life with him. I just sat there in shock for a second before I asked him if he was serious right now. He was. I told him that I have a good life, that I love Jake, and I'm not some chess piece that he can just move around for his own benefit. He starts getting mad, saying that I'm being stubborn and immature, and that I'll regret not at least keeping my options open. That's when I snapped. I told him that he was being ridiculous, and that I'm not some business deal that he gets to negotiate. Things got really heated, and I ended up just leaving before dinner even started. Now he's playing the victim, saying that he was just looking out for my future and that I disrespected him by yelling. Am I the jerk for losing it on him? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. It seems like he is unnecessarily inserting himself into your love life. And I mean, from the way Opie describes it, it does sound like he's trying to pick what works best for him and what he thinks is best, and not necessarily what is best for OP.
Well, I think he's definitely looking at the whole, well, if she's married to Andrew, then my boss will benefit me in some way, shape, or form, right? And then eventually, when Andrew takes over the company, he'll benefit him in some way, shape, or form. Be rewarded for his loyalty.
Yeah, so I don't think that Opie's dad has her best interests at heart, and Opie, like, keep doing what you're doing, you know. It's good that you're in a position where you don't need to rely on, you know, someone to swoop in and save you. Not that there's anything wrong with having a partner financially support you, but like I think the dad's attitude that like it doesn't matter what the woman is doing, she needs to have like the provider, old money man. It's just kind of gross.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the thing is, like, it would be one thing if OP was on the market and he was like, hey, you know, Andrew's looking for, you know, someone for a date or something like that. But the way he's kind of approaching this here just seems kind of icky. You know, it just does not seem helpful or productive at all.
Well, it seems entirely monetarily focused because from all of this, the only thing it sounds like he objects to is that Opie's current partner is not old money.
Yeah, pretty much. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And top customer 1055 says, not the jerk. You're 27 years old and an adult. Unfortunately, we have to let kids make their own choices and mistakes. He may be right, who knows, but you're happy. Set-up marriages are not the norm in most cultures. Hopefully once you guys get more serious, maybe engaged or married, he will change his attitude. A lot of people don't see boyfriend and girlfriend as serious, not saying that it's right, but it is what it is. I would probably go on a date and embarrass my dad and by behaving like a brat. And Opie replies, haha, honestly, the idea of going on a date just to act like a total nightmare is so tempting. But yeah, I get that some people don't take relationships seriously until there's a ring involved. Still, that doesn't give him the right to treat me like a business deal. I just wish that he could respect my choices instead of trying to control them. Hopefully he comes around eventually. Thanks for the support. I don't know if going on a date would be a good idea.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, you know, first of all, because Opie does have a partner, and this would have to be done with his full knowledge. But secondly, like, as bad of a person as the dad is being in this situation, it's not necessarily like
It's not Andrew's fault.
Right.
So, I mean, if they go, they should be normal and explain the situation to Andrew, if anything. And I think Andrew would probably be pretty understanding at that point in time.
And if he's not, then run for the hills.
Yeah.
You know, if he's just someone who's looking for a trophy wife to set up beside him, you know, and doesn't care about your feelings on the matter, then that's a sign he's not for you.
Yeah. And Nefarious Fresh 24 says, not the jerk, and don't let him or your mom try to guilt you into feeling bad or something like that. This isn't the 1600s. If he wants an arranged marriage, he can marry Andrew himself.
I like that.
And Opie replies, lol, exactly. If he's so obsessed with Andrew and his old money, then maybe he should date him. I'm not some bargaining chip, and I'm definitely not going to let him guilt me into thinking otherwise. Thank you for the support. All right, folks, then we have another update. Update 2, am I the jerk for giving terrible Christmas gifts and ruining my marriage? And Amber, do you want to summarize this one?
Yeah, so basically, OP was married to this guy, and his family, like, wouldn't have anything to do with OP, always treated her badly, but OP was the one responsible for always getting them gifts, always supporting her husband and everything. Well, it all came to a head for Christmas. They decided they're going to have a Christmas dinner without OP, and OP's husband is like, yeah, I'm still going. So OP swapped out all the Christmas gifts, which were nice, got them the most perfect petty cheap gifts, and told her husband she was getting a divorce, and now he's upset because they had a prenup and OP is the one with all the money.
Yeah. Hi, if this isn't the right place to post any updates, please direct me to a subreddit that better fits. Super sorry if I'm annoying members who aren't interested, but a few requested an update. First post, my husband's family uninvited me from Christmas. Husband still left and made me celebrate Christmas alone. I organized terrible gifts as a final bird flip. First update, I moved out and my underemployed soon-to-be ex and his family still expected me to pay rent on the apartment in my in-laws' name. So people who commented that my soon-to-be former in-laws were probably charging my soon-to-be ex and me more than the amount on the lease, you called it. And we wouldn't have found out if they weren't so entitled and determined to hurt me. They got a cousin who happens to be a lawyer to send me a letter demanding that I pay the entirety of the remaining of the lease, or they will file a suit and force me to pay it. Clearly a scare tactic. So my lawyer sent a formal request to their lawyer for a copy of the lease, which I've never seen, and a copy of their written agreement with us as subleasees, which doesn't exist. They sent the lease and insisted that the sublease agreement was a verbal contract. Not only is subleasing explicitly prohibited, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law have been charging us an extra $200 each month. So we've notified the landlord that I've been living there with my soon-to-be ex, and the leasees were living in their own house throughout the duration of the lease. They sent copies of my driver's license with the address and over 2 years of bank statements and credit card statements with the address listed. They were served with a 30-day eviction yesterday, which I know about because my mother-in-law left a voicemail about me kicking my soon-to-be ex out of his home, and that she now drives around with a baseball bat in her car and she'll be keeping an eye out for me. Lol. Obviously, my lawyer's expertise is in family law, and this was out of her purview. So she referred me to a colleague who focuses on real estate law. We met today to devise a battle plan, and now I am suing my mother-in-law and father-in-law for all the money that I can prove that I transferred for rent for the entirety of the residency there, since the apartment was technically not a legal apartment to rent since they couldn't sublease. No clean hands to rent to us, and then sue me. He's not sure how a judge will buy it, and it's well beyond my state's civil compensation limit, but he's confident that it will scare them and leave them open to settling for just returning the additional $200 from each payment, which I think is fair, because I did live there with my soon-to-be ex, so I don't think that it's right to get all of the rent money back. I'm an adult, and adults pay rent, and I don't want them to have the satisfaction of saying that I'm using the divorce as a windfall. On the soon-to-be ex front, there's no news there. We will likely need to go to family court for a separation order since he won't agree to the financial details of the separation agreement my lawyer has drafted. My state requires a 1-year separation period before divorce can be finalized. So this is going to be a long process. A few people asked why he did what he did and if he's offered any kind of explanation or justification. We haven't really talked since he was served. I don't know if he just fell out of love with me, but I was still financially convenient, or if the mask finally lifted, or if it was being so close to his family and them having opportunities to manipulate him. I don't know and I don't care. I don't need closure. I need them all gone. Looking back, making promises during couples counseling and slowly regressing back is enough closure. Knowing that he allowed his family to treat me like garbage for so long is closure. That final betrayal at Christmas is closure. My focus isn't on figuring it out, it's making sure that I'm happy. All right, folks, what do you think?
I'm glad that OP is continuing to stay apart from him and to pursue this matter, and hopefully things go in her favor.
Yeah, I hope so as well. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What shapes do mathematicians make in wintry landscapes?
Well, I can tell you exactly what shapes they make. They make Greek letters, because who wouldn't? One of them happens to be pi. One might be phi. Rho.
Snow angles.
Snow angles. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. More sense than me making Greek letters in the snow.
And a totally unrelated note, today is National Trading Card Day.
So, folks, find yourself some trading cards and trade them to me for Brian points.
Yeah, if you get some Pokemon cards on hand.
I will trade you any number of Brian points because they aren't worth anything.
Yeah. Well, actually, I probably have enough Pokemon cards. I have so many of the ones that are worth nothing because you got to buy the whole booster pack and you don't know what's in there. So
keep your trading cards. I want to keep my points, my worthless points. Yeah. I'm hoarding them. And I have Mega Mint. Although to be quite honest, like if we're keeping track of points, then Mary and June, they have tons of Brian points
Yeah.
as is. So maybe they can sell them or trade them in for points and Pokemon cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, come to me and I will gladly give you my excess Pokemon cards.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Oh, and folks, there's a live stream coming up on Friday. Wow, I can't believe it's happening so soon. For more information, see this table here. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form of a short poem.
Roses are red, violets are blue. You can't force OP into marriage, but you could marry Andrew.
I like it. Well done. Well played. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!